watching everybody work. Fuck that fucking job, that little pay by the hour. Yeah, fuck that fucking job, my back hurting and I'm hungry. Yeah, fuck that fucking job, nigga, on soul. Yeah, caught between the two, get this money, go home. Yeah, all these people so, all these bitches, they messy. First day I came in, I bossed up on the bosses. And they promise nigga this, promise nigga that. Want my ass to work, then bring that paper back. Sharp, where you been? I been taking the shit. Knowing damn well that I don't fucking sleep. Fuck that fucking job, we gon' be rich tomorrow. Fuck that fucking job, it ain't no more applying. Fuck that fucking job, boy, I'm sick and I'm tired. Fuck that fucking job, all that bitching and crying. And I'm saying, fuck that fucking job, nigga. Hey, fuck that fucking job, bitch. Fuck that fucking job, we gon' be rich tomorrow. Fuck that fucking job, it ain't no more applying. Fuck that fucking job, me and bro, we just posted. Look him in the eye, shake my head disappointed. We gotta visualize, summarize, execute. All these people drop like fly, why the fuck we still here? Man, fuck that fucking job, when I pull up I hate it. Yeah, fuck that fucking job, that's on all of their faces. Fuck that fucking job, man, I'm already lit. Man, I hear one thing, boy, you bound to get hit. Man, the bills cross a nigga's brain. Damn, that's how you keep a nigga damn a slave. Damn, money supposed to be a tool. Damn, for a purpose, what's your purpose for? Fuck that fucking job, we gon' be rich tomorrow. Fuck that fucking job, it ain't no more applying. Fuck that fucking job, boy, I'm sick and I'm tired. Fuck that fucking job, all that bitching and crying. And I'm saying, fuck that fucking job, nigga. Fuck that fucking job, bitch. Fuck that fucking job, we gon' be rich tomorrow. Fuck that fucking job, it ain't no more applying. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sick of that shit, I know you sick of it too, man. Money supposed to be a tool, but what's your purpose though? It's supposed to benefit a purpose. Shout out Boom Man now.
Alright, clap it up. Alright, Shalom. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander Jerry YAHANNA. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I.S.U.P.K is not affiliated with any other group. You understand? And since 1969, we have been holding down and teaching this truth, man. Teaching that the so-called blacks of the transatlantic slave trade and the natives of North, Central, and South America are the true biblical Israelites. You understand? And so understanding that, we understand that we're the Lord's people, man. You understand? We're the Lord's people, and we're here today, the second day of the Purim, the closing of the Purim, remembering the deeds of our foremother Esther, and our forefathers like Mordecai, who stood for our people in the time of our captivity, man. You understand? So if you could get me Esther chapter 4, and I believe verse 1. You know what I'm saying? We're here to remember the sacrifices that our foreparents made. You understand? And we're here to remember that, listen, man, we can never forget our people. In these times today, it is nothing but a regular practice for our people, our brothers and sisters, to forget about their own. When they get money or they get status in this society, they believe it is okay and it is acceptable for them to forget about the oppression and the suffering of our people. You know what I mean? Because they got a little bit of money, they think it's all well and good to forget about their brothers and sisters in the ghetto, like Oprah Winfrey. That's right. And all these other celebrities out here that have forgotten their people, like Michael Jordan also. That's right. You understand? And many and various others. And we in the I.S.U.P.K are against that selfish spirit, man. We're about the spirit of remembering our people and loving our own, as our King Christ commanded us to do so. You understand? But read that, Baba Kishar.
The book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
Okay, so what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to backtrack. So if we just go back up, go to, let's get back a little bit, get a bit of context where we continued where we left off from. So we go from chapter 3 and verse 7, Baba Kishar.
Book of Esther 3, verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast her, that is the lot, before her man from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And her man said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
So the people that he's referring to are the Lord's people, man.
That's
Blacks,
right.
Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites. We have always, throughout history, have been scattered among these different nations, man. Just like today. We have been scattered among these people, and it is nothing new that we see. We look at the history, and we should remember that, because we are those scattered people today, man. Right. We are scattered among the heathen who have always hated us. And let's find out why he makes this report to his king. Let's see what his plan is when he says this. Go ahead.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
So our laws are diverse from all people.
That's right.
You understand? We are separate, holy, above all people that are upon the face of the earth, man. To this day, we are separate and holy. You understand? Go ahead.
It's mad because even today when they talk about homosexuality, that word wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Bible.
Right.
If it wasn't for the Bible, it would just be sex.
That's right.
We're the ones that invented proper sex and homosexuality.
Right.
Heathens have sex with anything.
Right.
We're the ones that said, yo,
that's
nah,
right.
Homosexuality. So because it took our records now and cranks to Christianity, you got this thing called homosexuality, trans. Where for us that wouldn't exist. Today it was sex.
Right. And what Captain Cruff is bringing out is super heavy, man, because it's true. These nations are animals. Man.
That's right.
If it wasn't for the laws of our foreparents, there would not be any differentiation between different levels or types of sex. You understand? Like a dog only knows that, listen, there's a time where he's in heat and he needs to breathe. You understand? A dog only knows, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat whatever I can find. Human beings, the Lord's people, specifically the civilized people of this earth that the Lord chose, we have been given laws and statutes which separates us from animals, man, from wild beasts. When we feel to have a wife or want to pleasure ourselves, eat food and so forth, there is a way that we have to orderly know how to do this, man. You know, you're hungry, right? But you know you can't eat pork because it's so full of parasites and death. That's right. You know you can't eat the shrimp and the crab and lobster because those things were created to clean the ocean and to clean the earth. And that's what the law gave us. The law gave us civility. And that's what these heathens don't have, man. To this day, they may rule over us. They may be. It's like, if you could just get this a side note, just hold where you got. If you get me 2nd Ezra 6 and 54, man. Let's remember what the Lord said, man. Let's remember what Ezra always said unto the Lord as well, and made evident and said in great and right strength, man. He said it in such a right way and in such an evident way. These nations are literally base. Yes. They are a base people, man. But the other one said sex would only be with anything. There's no. It's just sex. It's just I'm gonna eat, so I eat anything that's there. There's no understanding of what human beings should consume. There's no understanding of law and order. No, they're just animals, man. They call us savages, but they are the true savages, man. That's right. We are the ones who the Lord chose. Read that, Bob Kishar.
Come on. Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all.
So we understand that everyone came of Adam. Everyone came of the time of the Genesis. You understand? Everyone came in that time. The Lord created all human beings. Go ahead.
And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
People what?
And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
Even understanding that alone, he understood that. Listen, the Lord created all human beings, but he chose one nation of people, man. He chose a bloodline of people. Go ahead.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake.
Because the Lord made the world and the world for our sakes.
That's right.
The people on this earth and the earth itself for our sakes, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
As for the other people,
Mm-hmm.
which also come of Adam,
Mm-hmm.
that was said that they are nothing.
They are what?
They are nothing.
See, can we understand what nothing is? You understand? What is nothing? It's nothing. You understand? It's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
But be like unto spittle.
You see that, brothers and sisters? The other nations are no different or even lesser than your saliva in your mouth. That saliva that you have in your mouth that you spit with, that saliva, the other nations are less than your saliva, man. Understand that. That's who they are. They are a base people, and the Lord who created them said so. Go ahead.
And is likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
Once again, he's expressing how ridiculously low they are. You understand? They are like you have a bucket or a cup full of water or wine, and a drop comes out of that bucket or that cup. They are as of that drop, man. They're like that. They're like, well, who cares about that little drop comes out? Oh, okay, well, carry on drinking. You understand? Oh my, no, the little drop. Nah, you're gonna be like, listen, man. Listen, it's just a little drop. Wipe the side a little bit. I'll get a bit of tissue, wipe it off, and then carry on. Right. And that's what the Lord has said. The Lord said that these nations are nothing, man. And these nations that are nothing. Go ahead.
And now, O Lord, behold. These heathens.
These what?
These heathens.
These heathens, man. These nations, these lesser people. Go ahead.
Which have ever been reputed as nothing.
Which have always in the Bible. See for you Christian pastors out there, man. Always in the Bible, these nations have been reputed as nothing. Go ahead.
That's right. Kind of have begun to be lords over us.
Now we understand our position. Black man, Hispanic man, Native American man. Now you understand your position. You are the Lord's chosen. You are the great princes of the earth, but you have been brought down low. And a peoples that are nothing rule over us, man.
Right.
If you just go back to where he was in Esther Babakashar, and you can go from verse 8. You understand? Let's understand that when Haman or Haman, which is probably the better pronunciation, Haman, yeah, when he was saying about the fact that we are a people that are diverse and our laws are diverse from any nation of people's laws, that's what it's referring to, man. That diversity of the laws is understanding that, you understand, we are just better than them. Our laws are intricate because they differentiate us from animals, man.
That's
from the savage beasts and the wild heathens running around about us. So if you could just, you know what I mean, now we're back on track. Let's go back to verse 8 in Esther, Bob Kishar.
Okay. Esther 3, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
And the man, and should I read from where we left off over?
Yeah, just from 8 is this to work.
Okay. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom. And
remember, King Ahasuerus, or Xerxes is his different name, his kingdom was from India, and we read yesterday from India to Ethiopia. So that's the vast kingdom that he's referring to, from India to Ethiopia. That's a lot of provinces, 127, I believe. And that's all the lands and people. So from India all the way up to Ethiopia, all those countries you see, those lands, those peoples were ruled over by the Persians and the Medes in ancient times.
Right.
But go ahead.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
We're diverse from all people. Now we understand today that not nearly, everything that we do, including our laws and our heritage and history, the other nations have taken from us. Just like today, you got, so-called Caucasian women wearing cane rolls or cornrows. You understand? They're saying that the other day they said one famous celebrity or what have you said it was wearing a fade. He had a fade, and they said it was like a new thing. And it's like, black people been having fades for years, man. You understand? And just like everything else we say and do in this earth, that is gold. Even in our lowest state, they steal from us, man. So that's how in society today you see that they have some level of structure in their law because a lot of it aligns with the Bible because they copied from us because they are bastards. They are bandits, culture bandits. You understand? And so of course we understand that there are many things of laws today that that coincide with the Bible, but understanding that that's only because of time, and given the time as they have done, they will claim everything that great that we have done in this earth for themselves. You understand? So of course, our laws have always been diverse from all these people, because before us they didn't have no structure of law as we do. So go ahead.
Neither keep they the king's laws.
So they don't keep the king's law. They don't eat unclean foods and live like animals, man. Go ahead.
Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
So now Haman is trying to now turn the king away from our people, trying to turn an evil eye to our people, and trying to bring great grief and grievous actions toward us. Go ahead.
If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
See that? See it there? Our enemies will always remind us and show us who they are, man. They are our enemies. They always have been, and they always will, man. Listen. And for no reason but because of the hatred of our people, they will have us destroyed, man. That's why our people are such a low state today, because they have always hated us, and they always will. Go ahead.
And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business.
So understand this. He's even putting up money. He's like, listen, man, I'll pay 10,000 talents of silver to all those, not even just some of them, all of those who have the charge of business. Meaning what? The charge of business is those who are actually going to fulfill the task of destroying us, meaning wipe us out. So those that would kill us, that's who we would wipe out. You understand? And that's what he was referring to. He said every man that goes to put his hand towards, you understand, killing us and destroying our people, he would have given 10,000 talents of silver, man. Could you imagine that? You understand? And obviously we understand the great wealth and riches of the Persian Empire. And so of course, understanding that, we understand that they were able to pay them off like that. You understand? Shalom. Good to see you, man. You understand? And so we understand they had the wealth and riches to pay off everyone that would kill us, to incite their people to destroy us. Go ahead.
And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
The Jews' enemy, man. Our enemies. You understand? Go ahead.
And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
So you understand now is that he's given him the full authority to fulfill what he's requested, which is to destroy our people, to wipe us out. Go ahead.
Come. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written, according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers over every people of every province according to the writing thereof.
So they understand what that means. From India to Ethiopia, that was proclaimed in all those lands among all those people. Heathen nations that we dwelled in those lands. So imagine all those lands and the amount of people of our people that were subject unto that, man. It was all going to be put down. Everywhere we were seen, from India to Ethiopia, everywhere we were seen everywhere we were seen, it was going to be put down, man. You understand? Unalive, that's what they say. You understand?
Right. That's like if I could. But he was saying, like this oppressor was saying, because we live different, because we don't abide by their rules, we should be put down like how the UK is putting down the extra bully, man.
Right.
We were like cattle, like pets. We were just owned by these nations. They could do with us what they saw fit.
Damn right. And have they not always done so?
Right.
Even in modern time today, we look back in maybe 50 years ago, 60 years ago. You understand? Not too long ago. We can see that this is how they've treated us. But our people need to understand this, man. That is why we remember these great things that our foreparents did. This is why we remember the day of the Purim. Right. We go through Esther to remember our foreparents, man, because we have suffered these things before. And it's only understanding how we have suffered these things before. How do our people survive today? Because of the righteous acts of our people. And the only way to change or better our situation today is to fulfill the same righteous acts that they did.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
And to every people after their language, in the name of the king Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
Mm-hmm.
And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews.
So let me just, for those that may not have been watching from yesterday or may not have a clue of what we're talking about here, and you're just popping online or what have you, if you ever seen the movie 300 and you see the Persian Empire, you see Xerxes, this is the same king that you see in that movie, King Ahasuerus or Xerxes, right? And that same empire he spoke of, that is the same empire that that is depicted in that movie. And in that empire, we were subject under these people. So when you look at history, you look at these certain historical movies, you need to understand, firstly, who you are as a black man, a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade, or a so-called Latino man, a native of Central South America, or a native of North America. You understand? You have to acknowledge who you are as a people. And then you have to understand that, listen, the people that we read about here are historical figures. The Bible we're reading. We're not reading nothing else but the Bible. You understand? And your pastor, many people have been in church for 50 years, maybe 20 years, 30 years, or even longer than that. And you had never heard this before, or you never even understood that these are real people in life. You thought it was just a story that made you feel good. Nah, this is real life. You understand? But read on.
To destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women.
They don't care. They never have.
That's right.
Historically, they never have, and today they don't care either.
Right.
They just do it in a more seducing way, a more deceiving, more deceptive way. Because that's who they are. They are the devil. Right. You understand? They're our main oppressor. You understand? He is a devil. Of course, we must understand this. Go ahead.
In one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to make the spoil of them for a prey.
See that? To just abuse and destroy us, man, as they have always done. We have to remember these things. This happened in history. It's happened many times in history. It's happening today. It's happening today, man. You understand? When they try to effeminize black men, when they try to masculinize black women, you understand? And the same goes for natives as well, Native Americans and so-called Latinos. That goes for you all too. When we say black in the UPK, that means blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know? Right. And they try to feminize our men, masculinate our women to say, oh, they don't need no man. You understand? And then you have a single parent household, and our kids are destroyed. They don't have the structure that they need to grow and to thrive. Listen, man, we are being beset on all sides and always have been. So, for those that are new to seeing these classes, listen, man, understand that this is a real thing. And these kingdoms today are burning, soon to all be ignited. Only a few have started to really, engage in conflict and in warfare. But soon enough, they all will ignite the flames of war and they will all be destroyed. And you must understand that because it is real. Just like how France, many years ago, you would never believe in your mind that France would turn from America. And they did. Just like it was foretold by the priests and prophets in the I.S.U.P.K. You understand? We've seen Gog and Magog and the hooks that have been plunged into the mouth of Gog. How Russia at one time was going to be, like everything, like America, like a democracy. Everything will be happy and go lucky and everybody be free to just live any disgusting lifestyle they want. But then hooks were placed in his mouth as was prophesied, man. And then you got a man called Putin coming in and he turned things back. That happened, man. That's real life. The Bible is real life. So like it was a bit of a side note, but you understand. But go ahead.
Oh God. Verse 14. the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day.
So there you go. So now he's trying to get all these nations of people to be ready to destroy us. So now jump to chapter 4 and verse 1.
Okay. Esther 4 and verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes.
So understand, when Mordecai, our brother, man, he heard of this news about us being, a decree put out that we would be put down and be slaughtered. You understand? That's he rent his garment. He tore his garment in mourning, because that is the anguish he felt, man. That's the true emotion. You hear that, you're gonna be upset, man. You understand? And if you're a brother, you hear about your people gonna be slaughtered and you're not upset, you are no backbone coward.
That's right.
And you are just unworthy, man. You understand? Right. Go ahead.
And went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. So
understand, sackcloth is it is like a pauper's clothes. It's like the lowest piece of clothing you can find, because it's expressing how much mourning he's in. You understand? And obviously you can't approach a king. When you go approach a king, you gotta be dressing your best, man. You gotta be looking a certain way. You gotta be, you gotta be on a level. So you approach him and to enter his court dressed like that, with ash all over you, that means, listen, man, that means you don't respect this king. And we shouldn't respect him, but that's why it's expressing, him wearing that and going to see the king, because they'll be put down. No one could just approach the king like that, dressed like that, especially uninvited. You understand? Go ahead.
And in every province whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning amongst the Jews.
Of course, among our people, it was great mourning, because they were sorrowful to hear that we was going to be slaughtered simply because we have laws of our own that are better than theirs. Go ahead.
Right. And fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth with ashes.
And understanding the how Mordecai went out and cried and had so much care and emotion towards the suffering of our people, man. Because why? People in the leadership position today, or the so-called religious leaders today, they don't care about our people, man. They hear that we're going to be put down, or drugs are going to go into our neighborhood. They don't care. They're going to be happy because they're making money from our suffering, man. But a man who truly loves his people and loves the Most High, he's going to mourn, because he truly cares, because he is honorable and he truly cares about his people, man. But not like your pastors today. They don't give a damn about you in the community, man. They're just robbing you blind. They're not like all these celebrities that try to find a way to just make money and just live their life and they're good. Nah, man. Not like Oprah Winfrey. You understand? Not like anyone like that. Listen, man, these are people who actually love their people, man.
That's right.
And they actually have honor, man. Something that is lost today. They lost integrity and honor. And that's something that men like Mordecai had, man. That's why he mourned for his people. Go ahead.
So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it to her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not.
So she was trying to, bring clothing to him to make him, she met with him, trying to help him out, you know what I mean, in his low state. And he was in a very emotional state because of why? Was the news that he heard. And so she was trying to come and say, listen, man, take these clothes, don't do this. And no, I know you're in a way right now, but don't, don't be wearing all this tag. Look, but he ain't trying to listen to that. Because he's in that state of anger and madness. He's like, listen, man, nah, forget it, I don't care. So that's what he's saying. He's rejecting it. And she just helped that she's trying to give him. Go ahead.
Then called Esther for her task, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So the attack went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them.
So obviously they revealed the news of what's been going on. You know what I mean? They're giving this information onto this man. Go ahead.
And he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them.
So that's the evidence right there. Go ahead.
To show it unto Esther and to declare it unto her.
Go on.
And to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him and to make request before him for her people.
So now she's been given this request to go and listen. She's the only one who can speak to the king and to sway him from slaughtering our people, man. Go ahead.
And the attack came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Hatak and gave him the commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law to put him to death.
So there you go. So that's the judgment for entering to the king's court without permission, basically. You understand? Go ahead.
Except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. So
now the scepter now is this. It's like a small staff in the hand of a king, and of course it just simply it simply means power, basically. So it's a simple. That's right, Clark. A symbol of power, and if the person comes into the inner court without any permission, if the king then points to them, that means he's permitting them to come, even though it's unorthodox. It's uninvited, right? Uninvited or unexpected. Then of course the guards will allow the person to come forth. But if not, if you don't do that, they're gonna just kill you on the spot. So like they're gonna unalive you on the spot. You understand? And that's exactly what they're saying. Go ahead.
Come on. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
So that's her dilemma. Her dilemma is that's the regular judgment, and it's only by chance, by the king's favor, if you live. Go ahead.
Come on. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then there shall be enlargement and deliverance arise to this latter. Then shall there enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place, but thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
Go ahead.
And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
So like for me, man,
you go.
when Mordecai is laying on it, you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking. Mordecai laying on it, saying, listen, man, it might be like, for instance, Michelle Obama. She's in a big position for a reason. The Lord put you there not so you can look good and glorious in your makeup and twerk and stuff. He put you there so you can have black people. Right. And he's saying, listen, who knows the Lord put you in this position for this reason here to say black people. That's right. She don't even know. She thinks it's all about her. That's the problem with a lot of females too. A lot of people think it's all about me. The Lord made you rich, so why you can help less fortunate black people? That's right. You think the Lord made you rich so you can drive around in your beamer and show stunt everybody and flex on them. The Lord made you rich so you can help black people. But Mordecai saying, don't get too big for your boots, man. I know you think you're nice, you're the king. But listen, right about now, these heathens want to kill us. And the Lord put you in this position. Why? Because you got power to talk to the king and make it happen, man. That's why a lot of black people need to learn. A lot of black people with money. The Lord didn't put you there so you can flex on us. The Lord made you rich so you can flex on the black men that ain't rich. The Lord made you rich so you can make us all rich, man. Right. All live so that can.
No, damn right. What the captain is saying is heavy, man. You understand? Give him a hand. You understand? I mean, it's so true because, like we said before, you know what I mean? Like these celebrities and religious leaders today, they don't care about our people, man. They care about themselves because they are good slaves. They have been taught to only beg for the crumbs from Massa and forsake your brothers and sisters that are dying in the streets, man. You understand? And that's what we need to understand. What we need to understand is that these things are not new, and that we see them today. We see these things today. But understand what we don't see today is this right here. We don't see them pleading for the people, man. And that is her cause. Her cause is to deliver the people. And that's what they have to remember today, man. Remember.
Thank you, son. Again. And Esther's a woman that had what? She had what's the word looking for? Compassion, man. Not even compassion. What's the word looking for? She had a conscience.
Right.
You're not much black people you can say, listen, we're dying out here, help us. And they go, you know what, I'll help you. They're like, that's like a you problem to me.
That's right.
You feel me? Esther said, nah, man, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna fix that, man. Not many people have that, man. Black men need compassion, man.
That's
right. You know what I mean? It's like,
damn right. No, 100%, man. That's exactly it, man. They don't have that compassion today. And that's the compassion. That's why the Lord has said for us to keep these feasts, man. To remember what happened in the days of old. So that we can understand for our sons and our sons' sons and our daughters, we can understand what we should be and how we should conduct ourselves, man. So go ahead, read on.
Then Esther bade them return to Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day.
So he's saying to fast, man. Prayer and fast unto the Lord. It is a powerful thing, man.
That's right.
And don't let no Christian pastor or any simpleton tell you otherwise, man. Right. Prayer and fast to the Most High Power, Yahweh, our King Yahweh Shai. Listen, man. Listen, that's a powerful thing, man. Any suffering that you are dealing with in your life, you serve and you pray to the Lord, man. You face to the east and you pray to the Most High, and you listen, man. If you're fasting, listen, you make sure you're doing it vigorously, and you're not when you do that fasting, you make sure you ain't showing that you fasted, meaning what? You're not gonna show forth that I'm hungry, or I'm thirsty. You're gonna do it, and everyone's gonna look at you and they're gonna think you're just regular average, you're just doing the regular thing. That's how it's supposed to be, man. You should show the Lord that, listen, man, you will serve him. And you're praying for mercy unto the Lord. You understand?
Right.
And that's the same thing that was commanded of old as well, man. That's what happened. That in them times of trouble, you would fast and pray. Go ahead.
I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
That's right. And see, that's the thing. Esther's a sister. And she showed more courage and more backbone than all these cowards out here, man. Right. You understand? This is a sister. You understand? She's prepared to die, man. That's right. Listen, man, that's the way you're supposed to be, brothers and sisters. So like anyone, don't sweat.
The amount of times I hear man talk about, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm a wife's gonna think this.
Right.
I'm a wife's gonna think that. I'm a kid. And this woman saying, if I die. That's the life.
Damn right, man.
That's how we need to be, man.
Damn right. Damn right, man. Damn right. Understand? This sister right here, she's hardcore. That's how sister should be, man. She's so down for her people. She was like, if I die, I die. You understand? And that's what we have to understand, man. We are no cowards in here. That's why we say in UPK, we are no cowards and there are no excuses, man. Right. The sister here telling, listen, she's a princess. She's up in here talking about, listen, man, if I die, I die, but I'm gonna do it for my people. That's what it's about. Not about banging on tambourine and loving your oppressor. No, man, it's about serving the Most High and having compassion unto thy brothers and sisters, man, who suffer and die just like you, man. You understand? Go ahead.
So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
So understand, she approached the king now. And now this is the moment of truth, as it was. You know what I mean? To find out what would be her fate, what would happen in this moment in time. and she can see where as she shows herself and she approaches. You understand? She see that she's got favor in his sight, man. You understand? You see how he's got them puppy eyes for the sister. You understand? Right. Go ahead.
And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand.
So understand, that's the golden scepter we spoke of earlier. How that would permit her, any uninvited guests, that will permit them to come through unharmed. Go ahead.
So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
Mm-hmm.
Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request?
Mm-hmm.
It shall be even given thee to the heart of the kingdom. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the king, unto the banquet that I have prepared for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee.
Go ahead.
And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed.
So even unto the half of the kingdom, he's expressing how much he will give to her. Like he's saying, listen, man, even to the half of all these provinces I rule, all these countries and peoples I rule, even to the half of all that I rule over, I'll give it unto Esther. Go ahead.
Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman.
No, you didn't.
That the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said.
Mm-hmm.
Then went Haman forth that day, joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
Well, of course, he felt like, he should be bowing down at my presence. You understand? Right. Just like all heathens do, that pride that they have, that arrogancy that these heathens have today. Right. You understand? They feel you should be bowing down and paying homage to them. You understand? It's the same thing that Haman felt when he saw our brother Mordecai not showing nothing, not showing no respect. You understand? Go ahead.
Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And Haman told them of the glory of his riches.
Go ahead.
And the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promised him. It's like he had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king.
So that's he's bragging on about how his high rank and position among in that kingdom, in that empire. And he's just showing off. He's thinking he's the guy, basically. Go ahead.
Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself.
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
Go ahead.
Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
So he will not be all that he has gained in his position, in his rank, and all that power that he's got. It will availeth him nothing. Meaning what? It means nothing if he sees Mordecai standing by the king. It burns in his soul that he sees our brother there like that, man. And that's how they are today. It burns them when they see us in higher positions or in good positions. Listen, a better position than most of our people. It burns them, man. And that's what he was saying. He's like, listen, man, if all the rank, all the power that and all the money and wealth that he's given as a high-ranking general or captain, I believe he was, that all of that, listen, he was like, listen, man, that don't mean nothing if he's there like that. If he ain't dead or in a dungeon somewhere, right? You understand? Go ahead.
Then go in merrily with the king into the banquet,
mm-hmm.
and the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity had been done to Mordecai for this.
So he goes into the book of this record, right? A record of things of happening, great things have happened in this time of his rule. And he understands the deeds of Mordecai. The deeds of Mordecai were that there was two guards that the king had. You understand? Very close to the king. And their plan was to take him out. And he said, listen, man, because of what he did for me, he prevented an assassination. So now he's saying, listen, man, that's why he holds him in such regard. That's why he got favored towards him, because of what the deeds that he did. You understand? Go ahead.
Right. That's like if I could.
Go ahead.
And that's the Lord right there. How you know, it's a coincidence that on that night he couldn't sleep, and he thought upon himself. The Most High put in his mind for him to look at those records and see what Mordecai did.
Right.
See this great man, and nothing's been done to repay him. So now the king's thinking, well, what should we do to repay him? That was all of the Most High. I mean, like the same way the Lord can harden Pharaoh's heart, and he can cause, you know, a man, a king, to think upon certain things, not able to sleep.
That's 100% correct, man. The Lord has the power to compel the minds of kings, man, and rulers of the earth. And that's what happened. That's what took place. You understand? He allowed this to happen so that he could have favor in his sight. Go ahead.
Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor?
Okay, so hold it there. So now, if Officer Mawasa, if you can read, just follow up where he's at. Just tell the brother where you are.
I'm at honor.
6 and verse 6, yeah? Yeah, you can start from 6 verse 6 here. Oh, sweat. So now he's asking him, what should be done to this man of great honor, man? You understand? Let's find out. All right.
It's after Nehemiah, before Job.
The book of Esther 6 verse 6. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man who the king delighted to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to honor?
So now, okay, class. So I hand class over to priest officer 5,000. Done the bar. Crack it up.
All right, Shalom. Feast of Purim, day 2. Give Shamgar a hand. Where was we?
6 and verse 6.
Go ahead.
Esther 6 verse 6. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him,
Go ahead, Master.
said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor?
And he said,
Now,
and he went to have. He said, what shall be done unto the king? What shall be done unto the man who the king delights to honor? Meaning the king wants to honor a certain man, and he's asking Haman, what should be done unto this man? So Haman, being such a proud bastard, is thinking this man is himself. Go ahead.
Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delighted to do honor?
And Haman's thinking this is about himself. Did we get over the part where the king couldn't sleep and he read in the Chronicles? All right, so the king read in the Chronicles because he couldn't sleep. The Lord put the spirit on this king that he couldn't sleep. We should let you know what? If you roll with the Lord will always find a way out for you, man.
Right.
Imagine this one night the king couldn't sleep. He looked through the chronicles. Imagine this man happened to wake up and look through the chronicles at the same time the Jews were supposed to be killed. And he looked through the chronicles and seen the name Mordecai and said, damn, this man is the reason why my 2 chamberlains didn't kill me.
Right.
Imagine, that's why you should roll with the Lord, man. The Lord will make the very person that wants to kill you have a dream, man.
That's right.
You're thinking, damn, this person's going to kill me, so I'm going to do ABC. All you have to do is roll with the Lord. You'll never think. And that person will have a dream. And in that dream, they'll realize why they should not kill you, man.
That's right.
Remember when those men took Abraham's wife? What happened? That man also had a dream too, man. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And Aman answered the king for the man whom the king delighted to honor. Verse 8. Let the royal apparel be brought, which the king used to wear.
And the royal apparel is like the king's garments. That's the royal apparel, because obviously this king was royalty at this time. Go ahead.
And the horse that the king rode upon.
And the horse that the king rides on, meaning everyone knows the king's horse. So he's saying, yo, bring the royal apparel and the horse that the king rides on. That's like having the one of the best cars of today, man.
Right.
Everyone's going to stop and look. They're going to be like, yo, look at that man there in this. He's somebody. And then Haman in his mind thinking this is about him. So Haman today, in today's terms, wants the best car, wants the most expensive garments. Go ahead.
And the crown royal.
And the what?
Set upon his head. And the crown royal.
And the crown royal, which is set upon his head, man. He also wanted to wear a crown which represented authority and rulership and so forth. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And let the apparel and the horse be delivered to the hands of one of the king's most noble.
And it says, let it be delivered to one of the king's most noble princes. And a nobleman usually back then was someone under the king. So a nobleman would be someone that works for the king or who's under the king in a high position, one under the king. Go ahead.
That they may array the man which whom the king delighted.
And array means to, dress him and so forth. So they're going to dress him in this royal apparel. He's going to ride on the king's horse. Go ahead.
And bring him on horseback through the streets of the city.
And bring him on horseback on streets through the city. Why is that? So everyone can see him, man. He ain't just going around the city for no reason. It's like you, when you get a new car, what do? You drive around, man. Windows down, sunroof open. Like, you want people to see you. That's right. You want to be seen. That's the reason why you dress nice. Like, everything you do in life, there's a reason why you dress the way you do, why you drive around, why you drive the car that you do. If you buy a nice car, it's because you want to be seen in it. That's right. You want to be seen in it. You got the windows down, the sunroof open. This man, Haman, thought this was about him, and he wanted to be seen. Right. So everybody could look at Haman and think, yo, he's doing it big, man. I'm trying to be like him. Go ahead.
And proclaim before him, thus it be done to the man whom the king delighted.
And it says, let this be done who the king delighted to honor. So, go ahead. Esther chapter 6 and verse
7.
Go ahead, Marcel.
No. Verse 9. And let the verse 10. Verse 10. Then the king, to whom make haste and take the apparel and the horse and go, as said unto and as done, even so that Mordecai the Jew.
And it said, do it to Mordecai the Jew, which is an insult to injury for Haman, man, because he wanted to destroy the Jews and all the people of the Jews. So when he's hearing Mordecai the Jew, he's thinking, is this a joke? Because he hates Mordecai. Right. Mordecai was what? The poor man that couldn't even come inside the king's gate. He was outside the king's gate, man. Right. And that's how he heard the conversation between the 2 chamberlains that was inside the king's gate. So when you look at Buckingham Palace, you have the outside of the gate where we would stand because we're not allowed inside the gate. Then you have the beef eaters inside the gate. So it would be like us outside the gate and hearing the 2 beef eaters saying, yo, I'm going to poison Charles, I'm going to go kill Charles because he don't deserve. You get me? and it was like that. So these chamberlains are speaking, thinking, yo, look at this poor Jew in his beat down clothes, his sackcloth, is outside the king's gate every day. And they're thinking nothing of it, not knowing that this man, his niece is married to the king, man. That's right. So Mordecai did what? Relayed it to his niece. And that's why when you read previous, it said that she told it to the king in Mordecai's name. So because it was told in Mordecai's name, When the king went back through the Chronicles, he saw the name Mordecai, and that's how he knew. So, like, you go ahead.
Like it's Mordecai Paul, New Testament, the name.
I'm sure Maradocchia in the Hebrew, right? I think it's Maradocchia in the Hebrew. It's Maradocchia in it.
Paul,
Yeah. I think it's pronounced Maradocchia in it. Yeah, I'm sure something along them lines. So, like, you go ahead.
Mordecai the Jew that sitteth at the king's gate.
Mordecai the Jew that sits at the king's gate. So he was outside that king's gate all the time, man. So, like, you go ahead.
Let nothing fail of all that thou art
spoken. And what even makes this more beautiful, what Haman wanted to be done to himself, all the riches he wanted to get, the king said, go give all that to Mordecai, man. He asked Haman, like, yo, what do you think I should do to, what should they get? He said, yo, king's horse, king's apparel. And then Haman's thinking it's him. Take him through the city, parade him through the city. Haman's thinking, yo, I'm going to get all the glory, man. Just to hear the very man that you hate so much, the man that you want dead so much, you have to go bow down and do all these things for him.
That's right.
It shows that if you roll with the Lord, even your enemies will have to serve you, man.
That's right.
Your enemies will have to do what they're supposed to do if you roll with the Lord. Like imagine this. No one would have thought the ending of the book of Esther would go this way. Most men would think, you know what? All the Jews are going to be killed. What these brothers and sisters did, they said, you know what? We're going to go serve the Lord. We're going to go pray and so forth. He told Esther, did you get past the part where Mordecai goes to Esther and tells her, yo?
Listen, know that he was here for this reason.
That's it. Because if Esther don't want to do it, guess what happened? The Lord will get somebody else to do it, man.
Right.
Never think that you're bigger than the program. Like the Lord puts you in a position to carry out his work. And if you don't want to carry out his work in his program, he just removes you out that seat. And somebody else will do it, man. I mean, one time Saul was the king of Israel, and what happened? He got removed out of that seat. It was somebody else, man. If you don't want to do the work of the Lord will give it to somebody else. So I'll just say you do what you've been told to do. She was raised up for this very reason. So okay, go ahead.
Verse 11. Then took Haman apparel and the horse and arrayed Mordecai and brought him on.
And imagine this, man. The man that you hate, you have to array him. You have to bring the horse to him. Listen, you hate him, and he knows you hate him. The same man that refused to bow to you at the gate, so you wanted him dead. Which is, they're basically saying black men have to bow down to them, man. And that's how they feel, that black men have to bow down and worship them. Mordecai didn't do it, and now you have to go to him with the horse and array him and ride him around through the city. So, okay, go ahead.
And brought him on horseback through the streets of the city.
And he brought him on the horseback through the streets of the city, man. Imagine this, the man that you think was poor and dusty, he's on the horse, and you're his servant, man. You're on foot, his servant, man. For the day, this man's in the very clothes that you thought you should be wearing. So, okay, go ahead.
And proclaim before him, thou shalt it be done unto whom the king delighted to honor.
And he had to say, thou shalt it be done unto the man who the king delights to honor, man. Haman hated these words. Haman went to the king and wanted these people killed. The king sealed it with his ring and so forth. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted his horse, mourning, and having his...
This man ran home, man, because he's mad. He's saying, yo, have you seen what's happened? He's real mad right now, so he's hasted. He's gone home. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and his friends, everything that had befallen him.
So he went and, relayed everything that happened. Go ahead.
Then said his wife, men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of Jews, before whom thou art begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him.
And then his wife's telling him some wise words, man. If he's a Jew and all of this is happening, you're not gonna be able to do whatever you want to do to him. His wife's telling him some wise words, man. His wife's telling him, yo. His wife's telling him, look, man, don't leave those Jews alone. So, you go ahead.
What shall surely fall before him?
And that's not the words you want to hear. Imagine you go to your rib. Imagine you go to your rib and you tell her about you got an issue with a man, and your woman tells you you can't win against this man. That's not words you want to hear, man. That's not words you want to hear, man. She's telling him the truth, like, yo, you're not gonna prevail, man. Imagine you're already hurt, you're already upset, and you go confide in your rib, and she tells you, she delivers another blow to you, man. Yo, you thought you're just beefing with Mordecai now. Your ribs even telling you can't win. That yo, you're not gonna prevail against them Jews, man. That's it. His ribs basically saying, yo, just leave it alone, man. It is what it is. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Verse 14. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlain and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
So now Esther prepared the banquet, and this man was excited, thinking he's going to the banquet. He's thinking he's pulling up in the banquet on the king's horse, the royal apparel. He's thinking, yo, my life's going good, man. I'm invited to a banquet with the queen. And he's thinking, I'm going to be arrayed in all this nice clothes, on horseback. He's thinking, I'm pulling up dressed to death, man. That's what he's thinking. He's thinking, yo, I'm going to have the king's royal robe and so forth. Go ahead.
Verse 7. So that the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is
so the second day at the banquet of wine, and if you know anything about these Persians was known for all of the partying kind of stuff. These Persians was known for having for drinking and partying and so forth. And even through history, they was known to have parties all through their provinces. So when you read history on the Persians, they was known for partying left, right, and center. So that's why when the scriptures in Esther talks about them partying and whatnot, that's how you know it's true. Because the Persians actually do that according to history. So like you go ahead.
What is thy position, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee.
And he said, what's your petition, Queen Esther, and it shall be granted thee? Go ahead.
And what is thy request?
And what is your request? Meaning he looked at Esther's beauty, man. And he fell in love with her beauty. And he's like, yo, what's your petition? And what's your request? And that happens a lot today. A man finds a beautiful woman and he turns into a fool for that woman, man. That's all it is. He turns into a fool for that woman, man. He cuts off his mom, cuts off his family. His family will be telling him she's a hoe and he cuts them off, man. Because he don't want to lose her, man. Imagine this. He knows it rightfully in his mind that he's meant to be stronger than this. But the beauty gets him, man. But obviously this king's a heathen. Us as black men, that's not meant to get us, man. We're not meant to do it. Listen, man, whether we got a beautiful wife or ugly wife, listen, man, we ain't gonna fall for nothing, man. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Look, because she's beautiful, don't celebrate Valentine's Day because you don't want to lose her, man. Because she's beautiful, don't do all of that kind of stuff. You don't work like that in here, man. The Bible says, don't stumble at the beauty of a woman. Because if you stumble at the beauty of a woman, you lose everything. How much men have gave up money and houses and cars because a woman's beautiful, man? Don't stumble at a woman's beauty. So, Lucky, go ahead. What should make you beautiful about a woman is what she does, man. Like what she does, how sweet and beautiful and righteous she is, man. That's what, obviously, I say that, but men ain't gonna look at that. But obviously, for the most part, that's what you're supposed to look at. How beautiful she is. Does she follow your orders? Does she follow the laws of God? That's beautiful, man. Because over time, women become older and beauty fades, man. With men, obviously, they become older. They're not gonna look the same. As a man, you lose your hairline and all of those kind of things. You lose your hairline and sisters lose their shape and all of those kind of things. So over time, beauty don't mean nothing, man. But what will remain is if the sister's virtuous. So imagine you was with a woman and she wasn't virtuous, but she looked good. When she no longer looks good and she's not virtuous, you're gonna be in hell, man. Whereas you could have a sister that's virtuous and that becomes beautiful, man. So okay, go ahead.
And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the king.
And he goes, what is your request? You can have anything, man, even to half of the kingdom. He's saying, I'm willing to go half with you on the kingdom, man. That's what he's saying when it goes even to half. Yeah, he's willing to go twos with her. That's what he's looking to do, give her half the kingdom. So, okay, go ahead.
Verse 3. Then Esther, the queen, answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight.
So she said, if I found favor in your sight, man, meaning if you want to do this one thing for me, so okay, go ahead. If I found favor, meaning if you're gonna do this kind and sweet thing for me, go ahead.
O king, and if I please the king, let my life be given me at my petition,
Go ahead.
and my people at my request.
So she asked, can he spare their lives? Go ahead.
Verse 4. For we are sold.
So now she's saying, for we are sold, meaning we're in captivity. Go ahead.
I and my people to be destroyed.
And she goes, for we are sold, I and my people to be destroyed. Go ahead.
To be slain.
To be what?
To be slain.
To be slain. Go ahead.
And to perish. But if we had been sold for bondman and bondwoman, I had held my tongue.
And she goes, you know what? If it was just going to be slaves, then I would hold my tongue. She said, if we are just going to be slaves, then, you know, I wouldn't even open my mouth. And this is like the oppressor's kingdom right now. If they was just, you know, had us working and whatnot, we wouldn't open our mouth. But then they started to whip us, abuse us, murder us. So now they're going to hear our mouths, man. And Esther said the same things. If we was just, you know, going to be bondmen and bondwomen, we'll just carry out the bondmen and bondwomen test and leave it at that. But she goes, because now we're here to be destroyed and all of these things. I have to open my mouth. So now she's opening her mouth. So Lucky, go ahead.
Although the king could not counterfeit the king's damage.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther, the queen, who is he? Where is he that durst perform
Presume.
in
Go
his
ahead.
art to do
So now the king said, yo, like the king didn't know what was going on. He said, yo, who wants to do this? So I was replying to Esther, like, who wants to kill you, man? Who's trying to do this? Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Esther said, adversary.
She said what?
The adversary.
She said the adversary, man. And Haman was a Jewish man, and he's our adversary, man. These Edomites is our adversary, because one black man didn't want to bow to me, wanted to kill all black people, man. He wanted to make an example out of every black man because one black man didn't bow down to him. Right. Haman was a proud bastard, man. And he got what he deserved. And that's why we celebrate Purim, man. We celebrate the death of Haman, man. That's what we do. We celebrate the death of Haman and our lives being spared. And guess what? We don't like in here, our lives being spared. We don't give the credit to Ahasuerus. We give the credit to the Most High, man. Because the Lord's the one that made him have a dream, and the Lord's the one that made all of this possible. So don't read this and say, well, you know, Ahasuerus spared your lives. No, man. Them Persians, all of them is still our enemies, man. The Bible says what? When you serve the Lord, who causes even your enemies to be at peace with you, man. Even your enemies can't even harm you when you serve the Lord. We don't give credit to none of these nations. So you know why? Because we should have never been in this province in the first place, man. That's right. Should have never been enslaved in this province in the first place. We enslaved from India to, where is it? Ethiopia. From India to Ethiopia. So Lucky, go ahead. Selassie all in slavery and whatnot. That's Selassie all in slavery. I wonder if the Benjamites was trying to worship him then as well. Okay.
The adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman.
And she understood the adversary and enemy is that wicked Haman. Go ahead.
The man was afraid before the king and the queen.
And now this man came to the banquet. Imagine one day ago, he's thinking, damn, I'm coming in royal apparel. I'm coming on a horse. I'm going to be banqueting with the queen. Everything's going to be great and sweet. And the next day, he's in there fearing for his life, man. The next day, he's in there fearing for his life. In the banquet, hearing and knowing that, and you know, a man loves his wife. So now if the wife's complaining about you to the king, and the king's got all power to kill whoever he wants in his provinces, Haman's fretting, man. Haman's afraid right now and shivering and shaking. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the king ariseth from the banquet of wine, and his wrath went into the palace garden.
So now he went into the palace garden. So he walked out of the banquet and walked into the garden. Go ahead.
And Haman stood up to make request for his life.
So now Haman wants to save his life. What about us when we wanted to save our life, man? Right. What about when you went to the king and you got the king's signet to say kill them Jews, man? Right. What about all of that? Now he wants to save his life. Now Haman's making petitions to save his life. What about when our life needed saving, man? This is the thing. Go ahead.
And Haman stood up to make request for his life.
And Haman stood up to make request for his life, man. Now, guess what? Haman's begging the queen to spare his life. Go ahead.
For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
And he saw there was evil determined by him against the king. So he's seen the king's demeanor, man. He's looked on the king's face, he's seen the king's demeanor. Now, and he knows, damn, the king's probably going to deal with me now. So, okay, go ahead.
Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine.
Go ahead.
And Haman was fallen upon the bed.
And Haman was what?
Fallen upon the bed.
And Haman was fallen upon the bed. Go ahead.
Where Esther was.
And now Haman's trying to grab her saying, yo, spare my life, spare my life, spare my life. Because he knows she can go to the king and she can tell the king, yo, don't kill Haman. So he's trying to spare his life now because he saw there was evil determined against him. Go ahead.
Where Esther was then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the words went out of the king's mouth,
Go ahead.
they covered Haman's face.
So now read that part again. What verse you at?
Verse 8.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden unto the place where the banquet of the wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will you force the queen?
And then the king's already angry and wrath. The king's walked in. Esther's on the bed. Haman's on the bed trying to beg her to save his life. And then he's saying, hold on, is he going to force her also? Go ahead.
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth,
Go ahead.
they covered Haman's face.
So now they covered Haman's face, man. Back then they would cover your face. You wouldn't even know where they're taking you because your face is covered. All you know is you're not going to be alive much longer, man. That's it. Just put the bag over his head. He thought he went to that banquet in suite thinking he's going to have a good time with Esther, thinking he's going to go royal apparel, thinking he's going to be dressed well, thinking he's going to be enjoying wine and all of those kind of things. And he ended up with a bag over his head, man. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said, before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high.
And then before the king, imagine this, your face is covered. Imagine this, man, your face is covered and you hear a man say, yeah, the gallows is ready. Imagine that, man, your face is covered and you hear a man say, the gallows is ready, man. Your heart would sink because you know you're going to die today.
That's right.
A man told him, look, the chamberlain couldn't even do it in secret. Said, yo, the gallows is ready. Said, yo, the gallows is ready. Imagine your face is covered. You don't know where you're going, but he tells you the gallows is ready and you know, all right, I'm going to the gallows. So I can go ahead, Marcel.
When she mentioned it so publicly, maybe she was taunting him and say, yeah, you're making Purim secret.
Exactly. Go ahead. Now,
Which Haman had made for Mordecai.
which what?
Which Haman had made for Mordecai.
Haman made it for who?
Mordecai.
Haman made these gallows for Mordecai. They was going to hang Mordecai for not bowing down to Haman. Mordecai stayed and rode with the Lord and done what every black man's supposed to. And then that same gallows which was made for Mordecai, they used that same gallows for Haman. The same gallows was used for Haman, man. Which the Bible says that a oppressor makes many devices and is going to be taken by his own next man. The Bible says the oppressor is going to be taken by his own devices, and Haman was taken by his own devices, man. Haman thought he was making these devices to kill a black man, ended up killing himself.
That's right.
Listen, man. Whatever you do against the children of Israel, it's going to be used against you. Lucky, go ahead.
What nationality is Haman?
Haman was Jewish. Amalek.
Is that Edomite?
Yeah, Edomite. So it was Amalek. So he was of the who you would call Jewish today. So now he made the gallows for black men. And imagine a white man ended up being on them gallows, man.
That's right.
And this is the thing. All the devices that they make, as long as you roll with the Lord, their devices will destroy themselves, man.
like,
Go ahead.
and just like how they made all their guns and their nuclear bombs and their missiles, it will be their own end.
Exactly.
Right, understand?
That's it. This very war that they're starting, Jesus Christ is going to come and show them war, man.
That's right.
Listen, they wanted to start a war. Jesus Christ is looking down like, yo, that's war ain't nothing, man. Let me show you how it's done. He's looking down like, yo, let me show you how it's done. And he's going to come and all of them together is going to fight against him, man.
Right.
And he's going to show them how it's done. And which side do you want to be on, man? Do you want to be on the side of Jesus Christ or on the side of all these other nations, man? Because if you join all these other nations, you're going to die along with them, man.
That's right.
Like when Jesus Christ returns, he ain't gonna lose in that battle, man. He's gonna wipe the floor with everyone in that battle. Now is the time for you to come out of all these religions, man. Do you want to be a Rastafarian talking about Selassie that was hiding in Bath, that ran to England, man? Selassie was meant to be the Lord and Kings, man. And he ran to the United Nations for help. He ran to them for help, man. Imagine he ran to them and said, please help me because the Italians are invading my country. And he said, we're part of the United Nations. United Nations ain't meant to fight each other. That's why he signed up to the United Nations, man. So they didn't invade Ethiopia. And actually, we're going off topic. Let me stick to this. Okay. Go ahead, Shamgar.
I was going up on something, but I was going to say, bow to the Queen.
Exactly. He bowed to the Queen, man. And Selassie didn't have no dreadlocks. Selassie didn't smoke no weed.
Right.
Selassie was a devout Christian. His wife, what's his wife's name again? Manon. Was her name Manon Asfu or whatever? Listen, she was such a devout Christian. She was such a devout Christian that what she did is, you see her royal crown? She donated it to the Christian church, man. She donated it to the Christian church. She didn't give it to no Rastafarians and whatnot. And they call her the Omega. And they call Selassie the Alpha and her the Omega. Like we're going off topic. Let's stay on this. This is for the history class next week. So Lucky, go ahead.
Yeah, on the topic as well as Shamgar was talking about the guns and the drugs, and also the crack epidemic on our people. Now they're taking what is it, opioids or something. They're taking it, people, fentanyl and all that. But they're no hooks on now. So what they try and do to us and the devices that they set on us, it does take them in their own crafted devices.
Exactly.
That's the Lord's word.
That's right.
Why are they trying to destroy us?
That's it.
The only power we got, think about, we ain't got no army, we ain't got no money, we ain't got no might whatsoever. We're still alive, and the Lord is fighting our battles because what they're giving to us with all the power what they've got, all the glory what they've got, they're trying to destroy us and wipe us out of them. The Lord is destroying them.
That's right.
Exactly, man.
That's right.
Exactly. And it's crazy. They made drugs to give to us, which is backwards because white people love drugs, man.
That's right.
Listen, man, you go to, I don't know if you've ever been to a house raid, man. Them Edomites be sweating and they don't stop dancing. Listen, they don't blink. They're in the rave and they don't blink. They just been moving mad for 10 hours, man. The same man that was moving mad for 10 hours in the rave, you find that he died 2 hours after the rave, man. You find that his body was found in the festival 2 hours later, man. And that's what they tried to do to us. Lucky, go ahead, Benjamin.
And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high.
The gallows is 50 cubits high. That's high, man. They measure a cubit by the tip of your finger to your elbow. So obviously, everyone's cubits would obviously differentiate depending on how long your arms are and whatnot. But you get the point. 50 cubits high is high enough to hang someone. So Lucky, go ahead.
Which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman.
Go ahead.
Then the king said, hang him thereon.
Go ahead. And the king said, hang him thereon, man. He said it was 50 cubits high. They said, hang him, man. So they was ready to hang him on them gallows. So Lucky, go ahead.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai.
Go ahead.
Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Then was the what?
Was the king's wrath pacified.
Then was the king's wrath pacified, man. Meaning after the king seen Haman hanging, his wrath was pacified, meaning, yeah, man, that's what he needed to see. Like Haman, like the king was angry. Seeing Haman hang is what calmed him down, man. Seeing Haman hang is what made him say, all right, man, I'm at peace now. I've come down a level. So, okay, go ahead.
On that day, did King Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen.
And the house of Haman ended up belonging to us, man. You Edomites that's trying to kill us, you're going to belong to us, man.
Right.
Right.
And every day you're going to get a lecture on why you should try to kill black people, man.
That's right.
You're going to get a lecture every single day on why you shouldn't try to kill black people, man. Every day you're going to get that lecture because you're going to be handed to us. And especially us that serve the Lord. You're going to be handed to us, man. You're going to see us walking in the palaces, in the palace gate and the palace garden. No more are we going to be sitting outside the king's gate, man. We're going to be with the king inside the gate.
Right.
And you're going to be outside the gate begging us for crumbs, man. And we're going to decide, do we want to give you if we don't want to give you. It depends. That comes down to whoever your slave master is. Some brothers might be a bit kinder than others, who knows. Some might give you something, some might give you nothing. Slacky, go ahead. With me, it depends what day I'm having. Slacky, go ahead.
And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her.
And now Esther did what?
Esther had told what he was unto her.
Now Esther told the king what he wasn't to her. Why? Because previously Esther hid her nationality. And like we went over yesterday, when you look up history, they will tell you that Xerxes wasn't married to Esther. The reason they say that is why? Because with these Persians, they could only marry their own kind. And that's why Esther had to hide her nationality for that reason. So, Lucky, go ahead.
And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai.
And the king took off his ring, and he gave that ring unto Mordecai, man. Imagine this same man that had ashes on his head and was depressed and down. Just serve the Lord, and the Lord will change your position, man.
That's right.
Listen, Mordecai was, you see the scripture, it goes, I can bring you down, and I can raise you from the dust above it and whatnot. This is what happened to Mordecai, man. Mordecai is living proof of that scripture, man. That he was in a lower state, one stage, and now is up. Go ahead.
And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
Go ahead.
And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
So she fell to her feet before the king and begged him to overturn what Haman had in place. Because what Haman had in place was get rid of those Jews, man. So now it was sealed with the king's ring. So imagine these letters were sent to all these other provinces. And now, guess what would have happened? People that was in those provinces, Jews would have been getting killed. Why? Because that was the decree. So she had to cry and say, yo, please overturn what Haman's got in place. So he had to do what? Overturn it, send that letters to say, don't kill the Jews. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Then the king held out his golden scepter towards
And
Esther.
the king held out his golden scepter. So now how this worked is if the king don't call you in and you go in, the king could kill you for that, man.
Right.
It ain't like now where you can go on the internet and talk bad about Charles and nothing happens. Now you can get away with saying what you want, man. Try doing that when Henry VIII was ruling, man.
Right.
You better watch your mouth, man. When Henry VIII was ruling, you better watch your mouth. Nowadays, obviously Charles, you no longer get put to death for treason. So people run their mouth about the king. In our kingdom, you're not gonna run your mouth about the king, man. You're gonna do what you're told to do, and that's how it's gonna be. So, Lucky, go ahead.
So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman.
And this is how you know back then the kings had so much power, man. You know why? Because everybody that goes before the king is petrified.
Right.
Everyone that goes before the king is petrified, and you have to speak a certain way to the king. And that's why Esther's speaking to the king. If you want to do it, if it be pleasing in your sight, if it's pleasing in your sight, and if you want to do it, because you can't just go to the king and say, yo, brother, go change that decree. You can't do that, man. You can't go to the king and say, yo, you need to change that. You have to speak to the king like he's the king, man.
Right.
And that's why they're speaking to him in that way. Why? Because this king has the power to have someone put a bag over your head and take you to the gallows, man. So you have to go in there and speak correct. And that's why every time Esther's speaking to him, she's like, if it's your will, if you want to do this, if I found favor in your sight. Because she knows you can't just go speak to a king anyhow. And this is why it was disgusting what Vashti did. Because he's saying, yo, I'm the king and you think you're going to speak to me like this in my kingdom?
Right.
And then he showed there, you ain't gonna do what I tell you to do. I'm gonna go get me another woman, man. He said, all right, you ain't gonna do what I tell you to do. No, sir, I'm gonna go get another woman, man. Imagine you're meant to be my wife and I call you up, man, and you tell me you're not coming. I'm gonna go get me another woman that does come, man. You tell me you're not coming, I'm getting another woman that does. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces.
Go ahead.
For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people?
She goes, I can't live to see the evil that's going to happen to my people.
That's right.
There was a brother in the book of Maccabees that said the same thing, man.
That's right.
What's the point of me being here to see all this? There's some people that would die for their people, man. And there's others that would just join their oppressors and not die.
That's
The
right.
men in here, we would rather die, man.
That's right.
Listen, you always hear us, one West told the bride, you brothers proved it during that Palestinian march, man.
That's right.
You brothers proved it, man. Like, listen, you don't need to say that to me. You brothers proved it with your works. That day, 1 million Palestinians in front of the camp, man. Listen, I've seen Palestinians in front of the camp, behind the camp. I've seen camp signs lying down. I've seen everything, man. I've seen the microphone, the lids off, everything, man. I'm telling you. And brothers prove what they say, man. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred?
And she said, how can I live to endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Meaning she didn't think about just herself. Whereas nowadays, most people think, well, that's their problem. Whereas this whole black thing, it's not a them problem, it's a us problem.
That's right.
We all need to put our brick in to fix this us problem.
Right.
We can't just say, well, I'm in the king's bed, I'm all right. We can't say, well, I'm living good, I'm all right. Because if we felt like that, guess what? We would never go to camp or never do classes or nothing. What people in the world need to understand is these classes ain't for us. These classes is for you, man.
That's right.
These classes ain't for us. Like, this ain't about us. This is about you. You think brothers be breaking down the law, the history class, the scripture breakdown for themselves? Why would they break down something that they already know? That don't make no sense. They're breaking it down so they can save your life, man. Why? Because they don't want to live and see the evil happen to their people, man. They're trying to get you to change your life. And that's why you got to appreciate the men in the I.S.U.P.K, man. Right. They go above and beyond on their own money to make sure everything is sorted out. Make sure there's schools and there's buildings and there's microphones and laptops so you can get the word of the Lord, man. That's right. What you should do is help the brothers out and pay your tithes, man. That's right. That's what you should do, tithes, donations, man. So we can do what? Help wake up more brothers like you was woke up. Don't be selfish and let the truth stop with you, man. If you don't want to come in here, this is what you can do. You can send your money in so we can reach more brothers that do want to come in here, man.
That's right.
If you don't want to come in here, don't worry. This ain't for everybody. But your money can help reach other people, man. We need to go to other European countries and get our brothers, man. That's what we need to do, man. We need to go get our brothers. We need to go save them sisters that need marrying. That's what we need to do. And we got to save a few sisters that need marrying. A few sisters is waiting on us. You don't want to come in here. You send your money so we can use that money to, go get those sisters that's waiting on us. There's more than a few waiting on us. Lucky. Go ahead.
Then the king Ahasuerus said to Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hung upon the gallows, because he laid his hands upon the Jews.
Let every heathen understand this. Don't lay your hands upon the Jews, man.
Right.
Because you lay your hands upon the Jews, you ain't going to win in the end. Imagine you would have thought the Greeks would have been smarter. You would have thought the Greeks had these records in their library, just studying these records. You would have thought the Greeks would have read the story of Esther and said, let's not mess with these Jews. They messed with us and gave us another memorial to celebrate, man. You play with us, we're going to keep getting memorials to celebrate, man.
That's right.
Listen, we're going to get a memorial when we leave this place, man. We'll have a great memorial. We're going to be in our kingdom. Lord, our next memorials added after the destruction of this place. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring.
And seal it with the king's ring. That's the signature. So the ring would take his ring off. I believe we'll put in some ink. Press it. That was his stamp. That's like today. That's like your Royal Mail stamp, stamped by the king. This is this means it's his orders. Go ahead.
For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring,
meaning it's authentic. So this is an authorized letter from the king. You see that how the authorized King James version. The reason it calls it authorized is why? Because it's sealed by King James's permission. That's why they call it the authorized versions. Which means what? Those other versions that was not authorized.
Right. That's
So
right.
that's what it means. So that's why obviously you see the authorized King James version, because obviously there's tons of other versions that weren't authorized by the king. So that's why he called it the authorized version. Go ahead.
Unauthorized Book of Enoch.
Listen, there's no authorized book of Enoch. So lucky. There's no authorized.
You mean there's no Book of Enoch?
No. Well, in the records, Enoch was mentioned, but the book of Enoch no longer exists because when they found the scrolls, they only found a few fragments. So when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found a few fragments of the book of Enoch, and a fragment is something very small. So I don't get how these damn heathens get 3 books out of a fragment. It makes no sense. So Slacky, go ahead.
No, that's what I meant. It's not even authorized.
Yeah, that's it. That's only authorized in the Ethiopian Geese or whatever. So that's authorized in Geese and whatnot. What did they call it? The Book of the Giants and all of this garbage, the Wanderers, and that book's real crazy, man. Like you would think people would be studying this. This is all you need, man. You're trying to search for more stuff and you're still smoking weed and reading the book. Doesn't make no sense. This is what you should do. You should stop at the law. You should focus on the law. So Lucky, go ahead.
So I got watching the other day. Someone saying how there was researching something, and they said, oh, I can't remember. I was a bit high. Well, you told me. Oh yeah, cousin.
Oh yeah.
Does you use like man? I saw the internet. And you like off, man. I can't remember what I saw. A bit high.
It's like I thought it was you, but because I was stoned, it's like I'm not sure if it was you. I was gonna say to him, yeah, it wasn't me. Don't worry about it. I was gonna say to him, yeah, it wasn't me. Don't worry about it. It was stomach Lucky. Go ahead.
Like you said, weed at drugs stuff. Weed at drug stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Weed is I think while it is apparently they found a picture of Selassie watering a marijuana plant. Did you see it? No. There's a picture of Selassie watering some marijuana. It's probably not even authentic, but Rastas will go to that. So Lucky, go ahead.
And seal it with the king's ring.
And seal it with the king's ring. So this is authorized by him. Go ahead.
May no man reverse.
Let no man reverse it, man. Go ahead.
Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is the month of Sivan,
Go ahead.
on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews,
Go ahead.
and to the lieutenants, and to the deputies and rulers of the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia.
So now all this letter went to all them rulers. Go ahead.
And 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof.
Hold on, let me jump down to the main part because we bear with me. Give me. Is it? Yeah, jump down to chapter 9.
Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution,
Go ahead.
in the day that the enemies of the Jews hope to have power over them.
So now this day is when the enemies of the Jews hope to have power over them. They hope to have power over us, but it wasn't going to happen that way, man. Go ahead.
Though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them.
So imagine what you tried to do to us. The tables is going to be turned and it's going to be done to you, man. You tried to kill us, the tables was turned, and what they wanted to do to us happened to them. Go ahead.
The Jews gathered themselves together in the cities throughout all the provinces of the kings Ahasuerus
Go ahead.
to lay hand on such as sought their hurt.
Go ahead. So now, actually read on. I'm trying to jump down for time's sake.
And no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people.
And now the fear of us fell upon all the people. Now they seen us and they was fearful, man. Why? Because they know, yo, there's nothing they can do to these people no more. Go ahead.
And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
Go ahead.
For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went throughout all the provinces.
And he rode with the Lord, and now he was a poor man outside the king's gate. Now his fame's gone all through these provinces. Go ahead.
For this man, Mordecai, was greater and greater.
And you become great once you serve the Lord, man. Once you serve the Lord, you become greater and greater as the day goes on, man. Go ahead.
Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword.
Listen, man, we smote all our enemies. Imagine we were supposed to die, and now we're doing the smiting, man. Go ahead.
And slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
Jump down to verse 10.
The 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid not their hand.
Actually, jump down to where's the main part so we can close it out. Bear with me. Give me verse 13.
Then said Esther, if it please the king.
Actually, jump down to verse 16, actually.
But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives.
And these brothers stood for their lives, man. You know why? What does it mean they stood for their lives? What does it mean they stood for their lives? Exactly. They didn't be like a Christian man go on their knees and pray. Imagine there's a man coming to kill you and you go on your knees. You ain't supposed to do. Imagine a man breaks into your house, man. Imagine a man breaks into your house and he's trying to steal your goods and you go on your knees, man. You ain't supposed to do that, man. They stood and fight. What a Christian man would do is a man breaks into a Christian man's house, he's going to go on his knees and pray, man. While that man's robbing your whole house, he's going to be praying. As like you say, go ahead, Benjamin. You want it, sir?
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Benjamin. I think he was at verse 16. Go, yeah, he was at chapter 9, verse 16.
And had rest from their enemies.
And had what?
And had rest from their enemies.
And this is what we will get if we serve the Lord, man. Imagine at this time, Mordecai wouldn't have sinned this, but he rode with the Lord up until the end. And everything that Haman wanted, Mordecai ended up getting it, man. Everything that Haman wanted for Mordecai, everything that Haman wanted to kill Mordecai, what happened? Haman ended up getting killed. And the Lord can just switch it just like that. So we should roll with the Lord in everything. So Lucky, go ahead.
And slew of their foes 75,000.
And then imagine they slew of their foes 75,000. Go ahead.
But they laid not their hands on the prey.
Go ahead.
On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day.
Go ahead.
Made it a day of feasting.
And made it a what? And made it a what?
And made it a day of feasting and gladness.
And they made it a day of feasting and gladness, man. And that's why we here today for this feasting and gladness. And this whole feast of Purim is about what? Us saving our lives and destroying our enemies, man. That's why we're here today. And in the future, we're going to have another memorial. Listen, once we leave England, man, we're going to have another memorial, man. We're going to keep having memorials. We deserve them. We're going to have memorial after memorial. And these heathens, the more you do to us, the more memorials you're going to give us, man. That's right. All these memorials we're getting is you oppress us, and the Lord deals with you, and the Lord tells us to celebrate it. Look how I destroyed them, man. Go celebrate it. And that's why we're here today. The Feast of Purim, which is a 2-day feast. So they feasted back then, and we're keeping it till now. You speak to a Christian and mention the Feast of Purim to them, they don't know what it is. Why? Because they don't read the Bible. But they do know things which ain't in the Bible, like Valentine's Day, which they all celebrated last week. You had 2 men celebrating in the Christian church last week. So like you go ahead, Tom. Say that again.
The one last comment. One question. Is the New Testament okay to read?
Of course, there's no difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament. The King James Version of the Bible is great to read. Your history is in the Old Testament and the New Testament. And you'll find out about what's good to read by being in class. So just keep coming to class and you'll find out what's good to read and what's not good to read. Get yourself a 1611 King James Version of the Bible, which has the Old Testament, Apocrypha, and New Testament in there. So yeah, the New Testament is great to read. Go ahead. Go ahead, Benjamin.
But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
And they made it a day of feasting and gladness, man. And this is what we're celebrating today. Today is a day of feasting and gladness. Whereas 1,000 years ago, people wanted us dead. And we're still here, man. Like I always say, us being here today is living proof that God exists, man. Because the amount of times we've supposed to have been wiped out. All this black on black crime, this knife crime, this gun crime, all this oppression, all this slavery. Black people's not supposed to exist, man. But because of the Lord, we're still here, man. Like us existing is proof that God is real, man. Because with everything that we've gone through, we're supposed to be gone by now, man. So we live in proof that God exists by us to even being here. So, like, you go ahead.
Therefore, the Jews of the villages that dwelt in unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting.
Go ahead.
And a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
And of sending portions one to another, like brothers was giving each other food and so forth. There was feasting and gladness and so forth. Go ahead.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly.
And this is why it's a 2-day feast, because Mordecai said keep it the 14th day and the 15th day. Go ahead.
As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy.
And it turned from us from sorrow to joy. Go ahead.
And from mourning into a good day.
And from mourning into a good day. Why? Because the Jews were mourning, thinking there was going to be killed the next day, man. And that didn't happen. So it went from mourning to joy. Which shows if you roll with the Lord, man, down to the very end, when you're meant to be on the chopping block right there, the Lord can switch it and you don't end up on there. So okay, go ahead.
That they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
And now they made this a day of feasting and so forth, and joy and giving portions and whatnot. And go ahead.
And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them. Because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Haggagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them.
Go ahead.
And had cast pur, that is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them.
Go ahead.
But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head.
And whatever you plan to do to us, the Lord's going to turn it upon your own head, man.
That's right.
Whenever you try to hurt God's people and those people are serving God, it's not going to happen to us. It's going to happen to you, man.
That's right.
Your own devices is going to be turned upon your own head. And Haman learned this the hard way. Imagine Haman was heartless when it was time to try and get us killed, man. But once he realized it was time for him to get killed, he started begging Esther, man, to spare his life. And when it was time for him to kill us, he was heartless, man. And then once he realized he's going to get killed, he's begging for his life to get spared. So, like, you go ahead.
And that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows.
Go ahead.
Wherefore,
and that same gallows was made for us, and him and his sons ended up being hanged on it. Go ahead.
Wherefore they call these days Purim.
They call these days what?
Purim.
And that's what we're here celebrating today, Purim. Go ahead.
After the name of Pur.
Go ahead.
Therefore,
hold on, let me jump down to, for time's sake, let me go to, give me verse 28.
And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation.
And these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation. And this is why we still keeping these today, because we are part of these generations. It should be remembered and kept throughout every generation. Go ahead.
Every family, every province, and every city, that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews.
And listen, we Jews, man, so that's why we're celebrating this, because this is our culture, this is our customs, this is what we actually lived, man. Go ahead.
Nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
Go ahead.
Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim.
Go ahead.
And he sent the letters unto all the Jews.
So he sent the letters to all the Jews all throughout the provinces. Go ahead.
To the 127 provinces.
Go ahead.
The kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth.
Go ahead.
To confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed.
To confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed. And that's what we hear celebrating Purim, man. And it says this is a feast of, it says this is a day of gladness and feasting. And we're about to go and feast. Go on, Shamgar, you can call it. Who's on Shema? Go ahead, Marcel, you can call it. Yeah, can't say we finished the chapter 9.
Okay, so the announcements.
Just finish up the last few verses.
Can't say. Give me from 28.
And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation.
So you keep this throughout every single generation, man. And that's why we here today keeping the Feast of Purim. Because it says keep it throughout every generation. We keep all our feast days and all our memorials. Go ahead.
Every family, every province, and every city. And that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews.
And we should keep this, man. We Jews, we should keep this. This is a glorious moment. This is a memorial for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, man. And we should keep it. It's a glorious day for us. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be here?
That's right.
Go ahead.
Nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
No, the memorial of them perish from their seed. Go ahead.
Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of.
So they confirmed it with a second letter. Go ahead.
And he sent the letters unto all the Jews.
So now this letter of previously what he just said, he sent this to all the Jews throughout those provinces from India to Ethiopia to confirm the words that he said. So he sent these letters throughout all the provinces. Go ahead.
To the 127 provinces of the kingdom.
So wherever the Jews was in those provinces, letters were sent there to confirm to them what to do and to keep this throughout all their generations. Go ahead.
With words of peace and truth.
With words of peace and truth. Go ahead.
To confirm these days of Purim.
To confirm what?
Times appointed.
It says to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed. And we following that order till this day. Because we doing what? Keeping the Feast of Purim in its days appointed.
Right.
And that's why we are here celebrating the Feast of Purim.
Right.
Go ahead. Was that the whole chapter?
No.
31:30.
Go ahead.
To confirm these days of Purim in the time appointed.
Go ahead.
According as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed, the matters of the fasting and their cry.
So now the matters of their fasting and their cry, all of this is confirmed in the book of Esther. Go ahead.
Verse 32. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
And all of these things was written in the book of what? Esther. And this is why we have this record today. So we have this record, the book of Esther today, of what happened when we was in the realm of Xerxes or Ahasuerus and whatnot. All of what happened, it was written in the book of Esther, in the book of Purim. And you can also look at history and you will see certain things as well. So history will also confirm this. Because like I said, when you look at when the Greeks had our records in the Library of Alexandria, they had the book of Esther in those records also. So if the Greeks were smart, what they would have done? They would have read those records and said, let's not mess with the Jews, because what happened to Haman and them might happen to us. But obviously they was dumb. They didn't learn from the Persians' mistakes, and they had to get the same punishments. And we also have a memorial for that also. With that, that brings us to the end of the class. Clap it up.
This is the I.S.U.P.K. security announcement. We are the I.S.U.P.K. starting out of 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister come into the school, they are off limits. For 6 months, they are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. For 6 months. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months which brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 verse 21, Malachi 3 verse 8 to 10, means tenth in the Hebrew. Mahashar, 10% of every penny of any increase of the Lord that the Lord give to you. Give to the treasury department or teacher, priest fund, free will offering for priests, not monetary. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming Holy Convocation.
The Passover.
The Passover.
Passover.
The upcoming Holy Convocation announced. Holy Convocation from sheet.
No, you're not to say the Passover. The Passover.
Passover.
The 20th of April, North Carolina.
The 25th of April, North Carolina. Okay. Announce all the convocation from sheep.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. Go ahead.
Remind Akia to check the bulletin board in the hallway if anyone wants to be a super in the school. To start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, scarf.
Okay, with that, I imagine. Give a courtesy salute to the teacher of the Israel.
I teach, man. No, show me what it is.
This one how to say that.
Alright, so you just say
Amajam Shabbat. Amajam Barak.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Kafam.
Yajamata. Pastor Smith.
No.
Hold on. Sa, which means the turn.
My sisters. That's about Shah.
So like you can assist us.
This useful here because it's going to take too long for everyone.
No, sir. Alright. Let's see it again.
Amajam.
So, say one courtesy salute to the sisters.
One courtesy salute to the sisters.
Amajam.
Amajam Shabbat. Amajam
Barak.
Barak.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua.
Yajamata.
Dismiss.
Pastor Smith.